On the evening of December 24th, 2019, 25-year-old Kevin Bacon informed his roommate that he would be meeting with a man that he connected with on Grindr, a hookup app for gay, bisexual, and trans men. He then would be captured on his security camera, exiting their apartment to get to his scheduled meetup. 4 days later, his mutilated body would be found. This case would quickly make national headlines when details emerged surrounding cannibalism and the 2 separate incidents weeks prior to Kevin's brutal murder, where men had escaped from the killer's home and contacted the police, but the killer was never arrested. Most believe that if he didn't get caught, he was well on his way to being this century's Jeffrey Dahmer. This story highlights the risks we take in a digital dating world and will serve as a reminder to proceed with caution the next time you swipe right. Kevin grew up in the small suburban community of Swartz Creek, which is located on the outskirts of Flint, Michigan. He received his license in cosmetology and worked at a hair salon while also attending the University of Michigan Flint to pursue a psychology degree. His friends described him as having an interest in hair, makeup, and fashion, and for being flamboyant by frequently dyeing his hair and polishing his nails in vibrant colors. He had plans on moving to Chicago to escape the mundane social scene in his suburban town, but was finding it difficult to save up to do so. People close to Kevin would say that he had a history of bad relationships, with him experiencing verbal abuse and feelings of being used by men. And because he already suffered from depression, an eating disorder, and self-harming behaviors, these situations will often have an extreme effect on his mental health. Allegedly, in the fall of 2018, he would become extremely upset and attempted to take his life by swallowing a bottle of pills, which caused him to be hospitalized. A few days later, his mom would take him to a psychiatric hospital when he shared with her that he was still experiencing suicidal ideations. In 2019, he went through a breakup that had affected him so bad that he would need to go to a psych hospital 3 times in the fall. By that December, he would be found deceased. On Christmas Day, after he failed to show up to a holiday breakfast with his family, they would contact the police to file a missing persons report. His roommate would tell authorities that Kevin had left the house at 5 p.m. and texted her a little after 6 to say that he was having fun and wasn't sure what time he was going to be back home. Then she never heard from him again. For 3 days, friends, relatives, and the local news media canvassed the suburban neighborhood in search of Kevin to no avail. They would eventually find his car parked in front of a Family Dollar store with a bag in the back seat. The bag contained the clothes he had on when he left, his cell phone, and his wallet. Using the information provided by his roommate and the messages they discovered on Kevin's phone between him and the man he was meeting, on December 28th, law enforcement went to the home of 50-year-old Mark Latunski. Mark, who answered the door shirtless and wearing a brown leather kilt, would pleasantly greet the officers and allow them access to his home when they asked if they could search the house as part of their investigation into Kevin's disappearance. Initially, they wouldn't find anything suspicious in the home. That is, until they checked the basement. After entering a small hidden room, they would discover Kevin naked, chained upside down by his ankles, his throat slashed, stabbed in the back, and his testicles removed. His body had been hung over top a trap door where his blood seeped into the dirt underneath, and Mark would later admit he did this to use the blood as fertilizer for his plants. He was immediately arrested and readily admitted that he met Kevin on the app, but only killed him because Kevin was suicidal and asked him to do so. He then said he fried and ate his testicles and planned to use his muscles for jerky. And what would later be used as evidence to support Mark's claims, Police would confiscate a package delivered to his home days after his arrest, in which he had ordered a dehydration machine, an appliance often used to remove water from foods such as fruit and meats to make things like banana chips and beef jerky. Mark claimed that after agreeing to meet with Kevin, the two met in front of Family Dollar, where Kevin undressed in his car. Then Mark gave him a blindfold, earmuffs, and restraints for his wrists and ankles. After putting on the items, he climbed into the back of Mark's van, where Mark covered him in a blanket, and the pair drove back to the 50-year-old's house. He said that he and Kevin were acting out a sexual fantasy that they had agreed to do prior to them meeting up. Back at his place, they would engage in a consensual sexual encounter, and afterwards, Kevin spoke of being suicidal, and that's when they agreed for Mark to end his life, then utilize his body parts as a nutritional supplement. He would then stab Kevin in his back, and when he didn't initially succumb to his injuries, he euthanized him by slitting his throat so that he wouldn't suffer. During the investigation, it would come to light that 2 months earlier, 48-year-old James Carlson took a bus from New York to Michigan and met with Mark to have a sexual encounter. He blacked out after drinking a soda that Mark had given to him and awoke tied up in the basement. Thankfully, he was able to free himself by using a butcher knife to cut the leather straps he was bound with, found his cell phone, then stole Mark's car keys, and ran 3 miles before contacting 911.
Shiawassee 911, where's your emergency?
This is going to sound insane. I'm here in Detroit. I'm from New York, and I met this guy at the bus station who offered me a ride, and I'm not even sure where I am, but I broke out of this fucking basement, and I need a ride. Okay. I'm in trouble. I can't even find my way back to his place if I wanted to. I don't know if you can take me a signal. I'm from New York. I'm walking down the street with a picture knife, sweetheart. I need help.
Okay, I'm going to get you help. Are you walking down the street right now?
Yes, ma'am, I am. I'm passing a barn. It's all beautiful here.
You're passing what?
A barn. I don't know what street I'm on. Can you pin where I am?
Okay, it looks like I can. What's your name?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And I can't believe I don't know where I am. I don't know. Like, I never ever had anything like this happen. I don't know whether he drugged me. I don't know. I woke up in the fucking basement, okay? Chained in the basement with a leather thing around my ankle, and I cut it with the butcher knife that I have in my freaking hand, excuse my French.
Okay. Do you have anything on you right now?
I have my phone. I'm sorry, what?
Are you carrying anything?
A butcher knife. Until I see a police officer. When I see a police officer, I will throw it. Until then, I don't trust that he's not walking up because I got lost, and I don't even know if I'm headed towards his house or not. That's why I'm dialing 911.
South Morris Road, I believe.
I would have just kept walking till I hit Main Road, but I'm lost. So I don't even know if I'm headed back towards his house.
He just woke up in a basement. He was chained to something, so he cut the chain off.
I cut the leather strap that had the chain.
He's not sure where he's at. What are you wearing?
I am wearing black jeans, a black hoodie, Jordans.
3513, send that to me as well.
Okay.
I just want to get out of here, and I want to go home. I don't even care about the legal case I was here for. I'm sorry, I can't help them. I want to go home.
Okay, all right. And listen, I've got help on the way. What were you here for?
I'm a volunteer court advocate. I came here to help in the CSC meeting, and I was supposed to be meeting them at the bus station. I met this guy. I'm by. He was cute. He hit on me. I don't know. We went out to the car. We talked. We went to the store. Had a soda. I woke up in the basement.
Okay.
He obviously drugged me.
He would later decline to press charges. And surprisingly, after the police dropped him off and he realized his bus ticket couldn't be used until a few days later and he had no other way home, he would contact Mark again and ask if he could stay at his home until he could use his ticket. Mark agreed, and he stayed a few days without incident. A month and a half later, in late November, a 29-year-old man would also contact the police after blacking out and waking up in Mark's basement, bound and tied.
Shiawassee County 911.
I want to get away from some creepy guy. He had me tied up in his basement.
I'm sorry, what's that?
I'm trying to escape from some guy who had me chained up in his basement.
He had you chained in his basement? Where are you calling from?
I don't know. I don't know this road.
Are you on?
From here.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Looks like you're on Tyrell Road.
It could be.
Are you walking?
Yeah.
Hold on 1
I don't
second.
even have shoes on.
3562. You start for Tyrell Road just east of Morris Road.
I don't know if I should try to go to someone's house. I don't know where I'm at.
67 standby. 3562. Can you start for Tyrell just east of Morris Road? Okay, I'm trying to put out a call. 62, okay. You can start off for Tyrell, just east of Morris Road. Had a subject that was chained up in someone's basement, just fled the residence. He's out on foot.
He's after me.
Okay, Z, I need you to go to somewhere safe. If you can run up to somebody's house. Where are you at right now? Are you able to get away?
Help me.
6'2", he's running towards the house. The guy's trying to come after him. I'm trying to get further. I need an address where you're at. I'm trying to get it.
What's your address? I'm on the phone with the cops right now.
431. What's their address? I need their address.
He won't give me the address. Please.
Are you outside or inside somebody's house?
I'm trying to send someone to help me.
Are you in the road? I have some state troopers that aren't very far away.
I don't know where I'm on a white house across from like a barn.
Okay, are you close to the road? Can you see an address on the mailbox?
Really? I'm too far away from the mailbox.
I'm sorry?
I'm too far away from it.
I need you to give me an address so I can send the troopers to.
Okay.
Look for a mailbox.
910W.
910?
Yeah.
I think he's in front of 910 West Tyrell. Is that 910 Tyrell?
Hey, no, please. I'm on the clock. What's your address? What's your address? Please.
Let me talk. Can I talk to whoever you're talking to?
What's your address? What's your address?
3562 and 12. We're going to be at 910. That's the house we're at, 910. He's talking to the homeowner there.
He, too, would somehow escape and run to one of Mark's neighbors for help, with Mark pulling up in a car to the same house a few minutes later. State police would respond shortly afterwards and escorted the man to the precinct for a statement. Mark would tell responding officers that he was only chasing the man because he was trying to get his $300 kilt bag that the man was wearing. And although the victim was visibly shaken and bloody, just like the victim a month prior, he too also declined to press charges, so Mark was never arrested. People who knew Mark described him as an extremely intelligent man who suffered from severely untreated mental health issues. He completed his undergrad degree at Central State, Michigan, then interned at Dow Chemical before returning to school and receiving a master's degree in chemistry from Iowa State University in 1995. He would work as a research chemist immediately after college, and a few years later, in 2001, would marry Emily Latunski. The couple would have 4 children but Emily would later tell a family court judge that by 2010, Mark had begun to exhibit erratic behaviors. He would receive an official diagnosis that year, which said he suffered with severe recurrent and chronic major depression with psychotic features, adjustment disorder with depression, anxiety with paranoid schizophrenia, and borderline personality traits. Mark would be prescribed medication, but refused to take them regularly. And when he didn't take them, Emily would report that he would talk to himself, not groom or bathe, threaten to get rid of the children's pets, and watch movies based around horror and torture themes. The two were divorced by 2013, with them agreeing to joint custody of their children. But by September of that year, the exes would be in court after Mark was charged with kidnapping two of the couple's children by refusing to bring them to Emily as they originally agreed, and instead got a hotel room for them to stay at. The judge would find him incompetent to stand trial and ordered him to receive outpatient treatment. He would eventually be found competent enough for trial, but by February of 2015, the case would be dismissed without prejudice. He continued to still experience episodes, however, and would be committed 4 times due to concerns about his behaviors, in addition to having police called to his house on multiple occasions for welfare checks and failure to pay child support. In 2016, Mark would get remarried to Jamie Arnold, a man he had met a few years prior on the Grindr dating app. Jamie would say that the relationship between the two started out good, but his behaviors changed after February of 2019, when Mark was laid off from his job at a chemical technology company for accusing them of contaminating the products they were making. Previously unaware of the severity of Mark's mental health issues, Jamie said that once Mark was let go from his job, that he began to make odd statements, such as that the neighbors were polluting the water system, denying the paternity of his 4 children, and also denying his identity as a Latunski. Jamie would try to remain in the marriage, but would separate from Mark in September of 2019 after being fed up with his antics of bringing random men to the home for them to sleep with without any prior discussion with him. Jamie would move out soon after the separation, but invited Mark over for Christmas that year so that he wouldn't spend the holiday by himself. And although we would later find out that Kevin was already dead in his basement, he would accept Jamie's offer and spent the holiday with him and some friends without incident. Jamie would say that Mark acted completely normal during the time that they were together, and that he even dropped Mark off home, not knowing that there was a body inside, but he never went inside the house. Mark would be arrested following his confession and charged with open murder and the mutilation of a corpse. Police would later discover that when Mark signed his confession, he didn't use the name Mark Latunski. He signed it using a handle that he utilized on one of his social media pages. Then, 2 days later, during his arraignment hearing, which he attended electronically, he would claim that he was Edgar Thomas Hill from the Thomas clan of Wells, and he changed his name to Mark Latunski for his own protection. Seemingly unfazed by his erratic behaviors, the judge would complete the hearing and denied Mark's attorney's request to add assisted suicide to his list of charges and ordered that he be held without bond. During a probable cause hearing in January of 2020, Mark's court-appointed attorney would submit an insanity defense and filed a motion for him to undergo competency and forensic evaluations, which the judge granted. A month later, he would be found unresponsive in his cell after refusing to eat for weeks. He would be hospitalized for a few days, then sent back to jail. Not long afterwards, the judge declared that he was incompetent of standing trial. He would be transferred to the Michigan Center for Forensic Psychiatry until October of 2020, when he was deemed competent enough to continue with the court proceedings. However, Mark's defense attorney will request another round of mental health testing, which was granted. But by May of 2022, he would again be found competent to stand trial with an anticipated court date of October. But on September 22nd, 2022, against the advice of his attorneys, Mark was surprisingly enter a guilty plea.
On December 24th, 2019, were you at 703 West Terrell in Morris, Michigan?
Yes, I was.
To your knowledge, is that in Shiawassee County?
Yes, it is.
On that date, were you with Kevin Bacon?
Yes, I was.
Did you use a knife to stab Mr. Bacon?
Yes, I did.
Did you know that stabbing Mr. Bacon with a knife would most certainly create a very high risk of death or grave bodily harm to Mr. Bacon?
Yes, I did.
After Mr. Bacon was dead, did you remove part of his body, specifically his testicles?
Yes, I did.
Did you move those testicles to the kitchen?
Yes, I did.
Did you do so without legal authorization, meaning you were not doing so to embalm Mr. Bacon's body or to do a proper post-mortem examination?
No, I didn't.
Your Honor, I believe that's sufficient factual basis for both counts.
He is the first person in Shiawassee County to plead guilty to open murder, which will lead to either a conviction of first-degree murder, second-degree murder, or manslaughter. He is scheduled to return to court on October 18, 2022, where he will be convicted on one of those counts, which will also determine his eligibility for parole. After Kevin Bacon's death, the Michigan State Police Department would be highly scrutinized by the public for not arresting Mark during the two incidents that happened in the weeks leading up to the murder. But a spokesperson for the department stated that because both men had refused to press charges and there was no evidence that a crime had occurred, there was nothing that they could have done legally. James Carlson, the first man who accused Mark of drugging him, escaped his house, then went back and stayed with Mark for a few days afterwards, will later file a civil suit of more than $75,000 against Mark for gross negligence, assault, battery, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and false imprisonment. However, in February of 2022, the suit would be dismissed. Kevin's sister would post a GoFundMe, which was picked up and reposted by the popular YouTube beauty guru, Jeffree Star, who also happened to be someone that Kevin was a huge fan of. He would donate $20,000 towards Kevin's funeral expenses. Also, the Golden Globe winning actor, who Kevin shared a similar first and last name, made a post online sending his condolences to the Bacon family as well. The University of Michigan Flint Center for Gender and Sexuality, an organization that Kevin was a member of prior to his untimely death, will hold a celebration of life event in his honor. In addition, the university would tell his parents that the school would be providing them an honorary degree on his behalf during their graduation ceremony. In February of 2020, barely 2 months after Kevin's death, Mark's house would be sold for $21,000 over asking price at $101,733.28. This marks the end of this video. If you have any questions or you want to add anything to the story that you feel as though I may have left out, please include it in the comments below. Again, I appreciate all of you as always, and I look forward to seeing you at the next one. Take care.